How did you come up with the concept? Like, I mean, because Astro Zombies has taken on a life of its own. It's its own universe, you know. So, where did the concept come from?
I dreamt it up.
So it was one day you woke up and.
Well, I do that every day. I come up with ideas. People ask me where I get the ideas, and I tell them I can come up. Why didn't I sue, for example, Aaron Spelling on Doll Squad? Because he even used the girls' names. He came to my screening 4 years later. He does from the Doll Squad. He did Charlie's Angels, right? And almost tit for tat all the way through the movie. Mine was the senator. His was Charlie, and so on. But in any event, I said, no, I don't sue people. I can come up with an idea every 6 minutes, you know, to make a movie. What do I need to worry about that for? And so the thought of the Astro Zombies was, I think I had already did the filming of Strike Me Deadly. No, I hadn't, because that was 59. And 60, I sat in the basement where I had a really primitive little edit bay with, you know, where I could cut and chop film together and so on, where I had made these other 10 films for 9 years. In any event, I thought, oh, I'll do something different, you know. Why not? And I somehow or other I heard that these photoelectric cells could light little things like a flashlight, and I thought, why don't I put a piece of what do they call rare earth, where you get a headphone and you could, you know, and I wanted to put all that stuff in there. Then I got to thinking, I want to do something that's so unusual. I never have in my life ever wanted to make a film similar to what everyone else is doing. When they're all doing biker films, that's when I did the musical drama Girl in Gold Boots. I didn't want to do a biker movie. And, but I had some bikers in it because, you know, to at least tie it in with the era. But again, one thing I ask everybody to remember is that 50 years ago, the style was different. Sure. You'd hold on somebody long enough. I had a 7-minute rule, never more than 7 seconds holding on a shot. But at the same time, the technology has moved into the digital realm, and now cuts have got to be like this to hold the interest of the audience.
Well, I mean, things have changed dramatically, you know, over the course of your career. Yeah. But I mean, with Astro Zombies, you know, when you first started, you got that idea, did you sit down and write a script and say, okay, here's my script, here's my story, and then say, this is how much money I need? Or did someone say, this is how much money you have, now go ahead and do something?
Well, what happened was that I had what I call a story one-liner, where I write out the whole story, what takes place, and so on. And I had that when Wayne, when I did not accept that contract with him, but he wanted to be involved. And in fact, he said, Ted, after seeing Strike Me Deadly, my advice to you would be to go to England. Go to London, because there they can appreciate a guy who can write, produce, direct, light, shoot, edit, and all that. In Hollywood, they think you're an egomaniac, you know. That's then. This was, you know, many years ago. And so Wayne said, well, let's take that, and I'll see if I can't get my friends to come up with a few bucks. And that's how it came in, 500 here, 500 there. They did all the money. I still have the checkbook, though, because they give it to me, and I could write out, you know, a certain amount of the check. But the total was $37,000, except for you, for me.
So $37,000, you shoot, and you edit, and you distribute Astro Zombies.
Right, and the lab bill was included in
the whole thing.
The entire thing.
Soup to nuts.
First answer print, developing of the color negative, which I had to buy short ends because you can't, with pennies, you can't shoot. I would say I used film, which is short ends that I pick up from cameramen in the studios or wherever, and you could buy it for, you know, like 15%, 20% of the regular cost buying it new. So in any event, putting it together that way, that's the only way I could come in at 37 and then shoot the extra stuff myself. I only spent 2 5-day weeks in the studio with my crew. The rest of it, I had to take my own 35 Airy, which I still have, 3 of them. Anyway, I had to take that and shoot all the exteriors, the pickups, the run-bys, fights outside, anything like that.
Now, do you edit everything in your head? Is it just done and you're ready to go? Like when you start shooting, you know exactly what you need, and you just go?
From having that 10-year experience of chopping my beginning films, you know, together, which I did, the only thing I've ever done on 16. But again, I had no intention to show them to anybody but myself and maybe whoever was in it, you know. But those were my books, my learning books. But when I would shoot, I would know how long I could hold on something before it was, you know, I had to be somewhere else. A good example, when you're shooting somebody, you're looking at me, Chris.
Yeah.
Okay, you all of a sudden look over there with surprise. Man, I've got to cut to that. So whatever you do after that, it doesn't matter. You can say, oh man, I screwed up the line, I did this, and it doesn't matter. Okay, next shot, this is the next shot. Because I know I'm going to be obligated to cut to what you were looking at that startled you.
Sure.
So that's the end of that shot. The next shot is a pickup of something else, see? Anyway, so in that manner, yes, I did edit as I would go. I would know. One thing that I did that used to confuse the heck out of people, I mean, even the old pros. Now, I never considered myself a pro with an actor who's worked for 10 or 20 years in the industry, and I'm this beginning kid, you know. Anyway, what I would do, I'd say, okay, here's your line, now go to here, and then skip, and you're going to the next line after that. And yeah, but I have to say all this. I says, no, do what I ask, just say this part of the line, and then jump to the next line. It may be something like, well, what are you having for dinner tonight? And then I know that I don't need any more language from this guy, because the opposing character, this is the way I've shot in so few short ends of film. I didn't need any more from him listening to this other person talking, okay. So I'd say, jump to this. But rather than turn the camera off and on, because we had 2-minute short ends, average 2 minute, and that means, you know, literally 90 seconds.
Sure.
So I could only shoot that part. And they say, but what about these other lines? I have these other lines in there. I said, well, skip them over. But they didn't understand that. Almost nobody at that point, anyway, that many years ago, they did not understand how I could put their dialogue together when we've skipped all their lines.
So, I mean, as a director, I mean, you look at your actors and you have to say, you've got to trust me, and you have to just do what I tell you to do and know that you're in good hands. I mean, and do your actors accept that? Because, you know, I mean, I think there's people who would say, you're going to have people who argue with you from an actor standpoint, but you know what you're doing and you're comfortable in how you're executing, how you're shooting.
You know, I appreciated the fact that even though I was much younger than many of my performers, now I'm the old booger, but then I was the kid, and I appreciated that no one ever argued with me. I guess maybe it was just my presentation of being totally confident myself in what I'm doing. Nobody ever questioned it, maybe except an actor who says, but I skipped these lines. That's okay, skip them. We'll get them from the other guy. Anyway, I was known for many years in Hollywood as the actor's director, mm-hmm. and also from the technicians, from the techies, I was known as the technicians, the crew director, because I could tell with a headphone when there's sizzle from the line when they cross a power line with the mic cable. Well, directors aren't supposed to know that, you know. So they said I'm the tech director.
Well, and you did a little bit of everything. I mean, you were director, producer, writer, director of photography. Yeah. I mean, and it sounds like camera operator. You know, it sounds like you did just about everything there is to do on a set.
Yep, including makeup. I even made, I didn't even know where to buy shells, blanks. So I made them. I took my pistol, I'd shoot out the thing, I'd put the gunpowder in there.
That's a lot of trust.
Yeah, and then I'd put the wad in, and what I really learned is how much gunpowder not to put in, because after I made the first ones, I shot it up against the side of my car. But it made a perfect dent, didn't go through. But that's when I realized how very important it is not to overload your blanks, and if you'll notice in any of my shooting, like in Corpse Grinders, even the Astro Zombies, when Tura is shooting, I said, don't ever shoot up toward their face. So now
always in the chest.
Always the chest or lower. And when I see it now, it bothers me. But then again, since I had made the blanks, I didn't want to, I had no idea where to get them, right. You know, anyway. So I had to make them, so I made sure that everybody shot low so nobody would get hit in the face. And then less gunpowder than I put in the first ones that made a dent in my car.
Fun. You're a ballsy guy, I got to tell you. If I said to somebody, hey, I made these blanks, don't worry, I'm going to shoot it at you, I don't think that would happen. I don't think it would happen with most people.
Well, you know, squibs, you know what squibs
sure.
are.
Mm-hmm.
I had to set all the squibs, like in Strike Me Deadly. I did those squibs myself.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. I had put them in there, put them under the dirt, put a little powder over them.
So, I mean, that had to be a huge benefit to you, being that you're shooting in Bend, Oregon, and you don't have Hollywood looking over your shoulder or, you know, any of those unions and anything else. So essentially, you do everything and you're happy with it. And then Astro Zombies, you're going to Hollywood, you're doing things in Hollywood now. Corpse Grinders is next. The Corpse Grinders is next, correct?
Right.
Okay, so now when you're shooting that...
No, Girl in Gold Boots.
Girl in Gold
musical
Boots.
drama, and then
Okay, so is the process getting more confused and more cluttered from when you originally started?
Oh, no.
No, it just you kept it in no involvement, no problems?
Not a problem at all. In fact, in the Astro Zombies, where you see the bullet hits on the wall, up there drilling a hole and putting in powders. Well, you can't hire people to do it if you don't have any money.
Right.
So I had to do it myself. I always have had this attitude. Unless you can afford to buy somebody who can do a better job than you can, do it yourself.
Gotcha.
And
it's a good way to think. I mean, it's a really good way to think. And you had to think that way. So with Corpse Grinders, well, let's back up and talk about Girl in the Gold Boots.
Okay.
I mean, that is a musical drama. And it was funny, because the first time I saw that film, one of the things that clicked in my head is From Dusk Till Dawn, Robert Rodriguez and Quentin Tarantino's film about the vampire film. I don't know if you've ever seen that. There's a set piece in the Titty Twister, which is the bar they go to, where a band is playing and you have a bunch of strippers and go-go dancers out in front of it. I just thought to myself, it's like, wow, how could this not be inspired by Girl in the Gold Boots? And from there, you start to see a lot of similarities in the films that you made with filmmakers today.